All right, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into the world of the Xbox Underground.
Ooh, yeah, this one's a wild ride.
It really is, and we love a good deep dive here, and this one is packed with hacking heists and more code than you can shake a joystick at.
It's got it all.
It does. So get this. We're talking about a group of teenagers who went from, like modding consoles in their basements to infiltrating some of the biggest tech companies in the world.
And I mean, we're not just talking like small fry here. This is Microsoft, EA, even dipping their toes into U.S. military service. Whoa.
Yeah, military servers, that's a whole other level. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's rewind back to the early 2000s.
Back in the day.
Yeah, way back. When we meet a young coding whiz from Canada named David Pecora, a.k.a. Xenon online.
Ah, Xenon, I remember those days.
Yeah, so picture this. David gets his hands on the original Xbox, and he's immediately hooked.
I mean, who wasn't? That console was a game changer.
For real, but David, he saw something more, something beyond just playing the games.
You saw The Matrix.
Pretty much. He starts digging into the console's code, figuring out how to tweak and customize everything. Remember, this is back when console security was like, what? A suggestion?
Yeah, it's basically the Wild West of console modding back then.
Right. So David finds his crew, starts creating custom programs, even messing with the physics and weather in Halo. I mean, talk about God mode.
He was basically a digital deity at that point.
Totally. But then Microsoft, they released the Xbox 360, and suddenly the game changes.
Everything got a whole lot more complicated.
Understatement. Microsoft ramps up security, makes it way harder to crack their system. And that's where our old friends' development kits enter the scene.
Dev kits, the holy grail for hackers back then.
Explain what a dev kit is again for those who don't know.
Sure. So basically, a development kit, it's a special version of the console specifically designed for, well, game developers.
Yeah.
And they're packed with tools and access that you just wouldn't get on a regular retail console.
So basically the keys to the kingdom, but they're also like super rare, right?
Yeah, they were like trying to find a unicorn, unless, of course, you knew where to look. And it turns out people did.
Oh, this is good. I love it when we get to the people knew part of the story.
It's about to get interesting.
Hit me with it.
So picture this. Thousands of discarded Xbox 360 dev kits they just ended up in a recycling facility. Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
It's like a hacker's dream come true. What did they do? Raid the place?
Pretty much, though I'm sure it was a bit more, shall we say, discreet than a full-on raid. But the point is, these dev kits, they started making their way back out into the world, and David, being the go-getter that he is, he managed to snag a few.
Smart cookie. I knew there was a reason we were talking about him. So he's got his hands on these dev kits, then what?
This is where our story takes an interesting turn. You see, through this whole dev kit trade, David ends up connecting with another figure who will become crucial to this story. Justin May, known online as MTW. And this wasn't just about swapping hardware anymore. It was a link to something much, much bigger.
Okay, you've got to give me the good stuff. What was this something bigger?
It was PartnerNet. Now, imagine a digital vault, okay? But this vault, it holds early versions of games, confidential files, basically everything Xbox developers are working on.
Hold on, they had a back door to unreleased games. I mean, we're not talking about seeing a trailer a few days early. We're talking like playing the games before anyone else even knew they existed.
Bingo. It was a gamer's paradise.
Yeah.
And David, he starts small, leaking screenshots here and there, just teasing the online forums with glimpses of what's to come.
I can just imagine the frenzy in those forums.
Oh, it was absolute chaos, everyone trying to get their hands on the latest leak.
I bet. So it's all fun and games at this point, right? Just a bit of harmless, well, maybe not harmless, but, just kids being kids, messing around with games.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that tone. This is where things start to go sideways, isn't it?
You see, remember that ethical line we were talking about? Accessing and distributing confidential material, even if it's just a game, it's still a serious offense. And David being, David.
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah, let's go with that. He figures out how to, let's say, monetize this whole operation.
Oh, he starts selling the leaks.
Not just the leaks themselves. He got even more creative than that. He starts developing and selling cheats for Call of Duty.
We're talking aimbots, wall hacks, the works, right?
You got it. And he was making a killing doing it. We're talking up to $8,000 a day.
Whoa. $8,000 a day for making cheat codes. Talk about a lucrative side hustle. But something tells me Activision wasn't too thrilled about this.
You'd think. They were furious. Cease and desist letters, threats of lawsuits, the whole 9 yards.
So did he stop?
Nope. David, young and feeling, shall we say, invincible.
A little too invincible.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. He didn't take it too seriously. After all, he wasn't breaking into servers directly, or so he thought.
Famous last words, right?
You have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because just as David's riding high on his cheat-selling empire, another player enters the game.
Ooh, who is this new player?
Dylan Wheeler, a 14-year-old from Australia known online as Super Day.
Super Day. That's quite the handle.
Yeah, and it fit because this kid, he was already making waves in the hacking world, hacked his school's network twice.
What? At 14?
Yep. So Dylan links up with David in the online forums, and it's like an instant connection.
Kindred spirits.
Exactly. They start sharing tips and tricks, pushing each other further. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah. Two hackers walk into a bar. It's the start of a bad joke. And by bad, I mean brilliant and very likely illegal.
Yeah, something like that. And if that wasn't enough, they soon added another member to their crew, Sonat Nanois from New Jersey, or Sonic as they call him online.
Sonic, he must have been fast.
The fastest. This guy, he had this knack for hardware, even rigged his modem at home for faster downloads.
That's some serious dedication right there.
Oh yeah, and little did he know, that skill would come in very handy later on.
I bet it did. All right, so we've got our crew. David, the mastermind, Dylan, the prodigy, and Sonat, the tech wizard. They're practically swimming in unreleased games, living the dream. But something tells me this dream is about to turn into a nightmare.
Oh, you have no idea.
This is killing me. Guess we'll have to wait for part 2 to find out what happens next.
Stick around, folks. You do not want to miss this. Last time we left our intrepid hackers, they were riding high, swimming in a sea of unreleased games.
But as with all good things, this too was about to come crashing down.
Because the FBI was on their tail.
Oh yeah, the feds were on the case. But you see, Dylan being Dylan, he couldn't just let it go.
This is the 14-year-old, right? Super Day.
One and only. He's still logging into Epic Games Network, poking around, seeing what else he can find.
Dude, what is he thinking? The FBI is after you. Lay low.
You'd think right. But that's the thing about these kinds of cases. Sometimes it's not about the money or even the games. It's the thrill of the chase. The challenge of staying one step ahead.
It's like a digital high-wire act without a safety net. Exactly one wrong move, and it's all over. And in Dylan's case, that wrong move came in the form of a simple USB drive.
A USB drive? What are we talking about? Like a thumb drive?
Yep, just a regular old thumb drive. But this wasn't just any drive. It was connected to the network, and it contained a list of all the company's login credentials.
Are you serious? Talk about hitting the jackpot. Or maybe more like stumbling onto a live grenade.
You said it, one little oversight, one forgotten USB drive, and Dylan went from having a glimpse to holding the master key.
And he used it, didn't he?
Oh, he absolutely did. Access employee computers, read emails, even watch them through their webcams, all from his computer halfway across the world.
Talk about Big Brother, except this time Big Brother is a teenager in Australia.
It's almost poetic, isn't it? The power dynamics flipped on their head, and that's what makes these stories so compelling. The allure of that power, the ability to control systems, manipulate data from anywhere in the world.
But power, especially in the wrong hands, can be intoxicating.
Absolutely. And Dylan, he was quickly becoming addicted.
I bet. And I'm guessing this wasn't enough for him anymore, was it? Epic Games, it was just the beginning.
You're catching on fast. Dylan's sights expanded beyond just one company. He set his sights on bigger targets. Microsoft, EA, even Google.
Whoa, hold up. This isn't just kids messing around with game codes anymore. We're talking about infiltrating some of the biggest tech giants on the planet.
That's right. And it wasn't just Dylan anymore either. David and Sonat, they were back in the game too.
The gang's all here, drawn back into the thrill of the heist.
It's like that saying, you can take the hacker out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the hacker.
It's something like that. So what's the damage? How many companies did they hit?
By their own admission, they infiltrated nearly 25 major corporations.
25? Are you kidding me? That's insane.
And it gets crazier because in the midst of all this, while they're busy hopping from one corporate server to the next, they stumble onto something they never expected. A U.S. military server.
Wait, rewind that. A military server? How do you even accidentally stumble onto a military server?
It sounds crazy, right? But it's true.
Oh.
They were poking around the servers of Zombie Studios, a company known for their military simulation games.
So that's how they ended up on a military server. Makes sense.
They discovered this tunnel, basically a digital back road, that led straight to a U.S. military server.
Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe the right place, depending on how you look at it. So what did they do?
Curiosity got the better of them. They downloaded what they could, which turned out to be an Apache helicopter simulator.
Of course, it was a helicopter simulator.
Hey, at least they were consistent, right?
That's one word for it. So they're practically a digital crime syndicate at this point. The Xbox Underground, I think they called themselves. But even the tightest crews have their cracks, right? And in this case, that crack was Justin.
Ah, Justin, or MTW, as he was known in the shadows of the internet. He always did have a knack for walking on the wild side, even more so than the others, if you can believe it.
Oh, I believe it. Remember that incident at PAX East? That was Justin's doing, wasn't it?
The one and only. Sonad and a few others had asked him to see if he could, poke around the network there, see what he could dig up. But the network security at PanX, it's no joke.
So what did he do? Please tell me he didn't try to physically steal something.
Yes.
He did, didn't he?
He spotted this booth for a small game developer. They were showcasing their new game. And, well, Justin being Justin, decided to take matters into his own hands.
Oh, no. He tried to download it, didn't he? Right there at the convention.
Right in broad daylight.
What was he thinking?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Needless to say, it didn't end well. He was caught red-handed, laptop and all.
Busted. What happened? Did they arrest him?
Oh, they arrested him, all right.
That's okay.
And to make matters worse, he tried to bribe the police officers. Can you believe that?
Talk about adding insult to injury.
Right. And then during interrogation, he starts dropping hints, talking about people bigger and more important than him.
Oh, that's not good. The alarm bells must have been ringing for the rest of the group. They suspected he was an informant, didn't they?
They did, and rightfully so. And what did they do? They let him back into the group.
What? Why would they do that?
It's a decision that has baffled many, then and now. Perhaps it was misplaced trust, maybe a misguided belief that they could control him. Whatever the reason, it would prove to be a grave error, because it's around this time that things escalate even further with the discovery of the Xbox Durango.
Durango? What's the Durango?
That's the code name for what would later become the Xbox One.
Hold on. They got their hands on the Xbox One before it was even released. We're not just talking about games anymore. This is next-level, top-secret stuff.
It was a gold mine, and they knew it. Thanks to Dylan's relentless digging, they found the console's blueprints, schematics, everything.
So what did they do? Leak it? Sell it?
They had a plan, an audacious plan. They ordered parts online, shipped them to Nathan's house, and get this, they built a working Xbox Durango prototype.
Hold up. They built a working prototype from scratch in someone's garage.
You heard that right. They were playing with fire and they knew it.
So what happened with the prototype? Did they sell it?
They tried, found a buyer willing to shell out $5,000 for it, but the deal fell through.
What happened?
The pressure, the fear of the FBI closing in, it got to them, especially Dylan.
Dylan. Always craving the spotlight, even when it's pointed in the wrong direction. What did he do?
He did what any attention-seeking teenager in his position would do.
Mm.
He posted pictures of the prototype online.
He put it up for auction on eBay, didn't he?
Bids skyrocketed, reaching over $20,000.
I bet Microsoft loved that.
They were not happy about it. They shut down the auction pretty quickly, but the damage was done. The world knew about the Xbox One a year before its release.
And the FBI, I'm guessing they weren't too thrilled either.
You could say that. The walls were closing in, and it was only a matter of time before the hammer fell.
The walls were closing in on the Xbox Underground. No more leaked games, no more prototypes. This was the real deal.
This was serious stuff. We're not talking about a slap on the wrist here. We're talking federal charges, identity theft, fraud, conspiracy to steal intellectual property worth millions.
Millions. Dang, that's a lot of lines of code for some serious jail time. So how did it all shake down? Did they lawyer up, disappear into the digital ether?
Well, it's a mixed bag, really. David, always the pragmatist of the group, he decided to cooperate with the FBI.
Whipped. Just like that.
Pretty much. He knew the jig was up. And get this, he actually impressed the agents with his knowledge, helped them understand the whole hacking thing from the inside out.
So basically, he used his time with the FBI to level up his cybersecurity skills.
In a way, yeah. He ended up serving 18 months, but get this. After he got out, he went to college, got a degree, and now he works with cybersecurity firms. Legit, helping them prevent the very attacks he used to pull off.
Talk about turning a negative into a positive.
Yes.
From hacker to hired security expert, stranger than fiction. What about the others? What happened to them?
Well, Austin, he also cut a deal, helped the FBI with another case involving, get this, fake FIFA coin.
Fake FIFA coins? Seriously?
Yeah, big business, apparently. Anyway, His cooperation got him a lighter sentence, 3 years of probation, turned his life around. Now he heads up cybersecurity for some big social media startup.
From teenage hacker to tech executive, that's quite the glow up. But you said not everyone was so fortunate, even with similar sentences?
Sadly, no. Sanad, he also served 18 months, but his story doesn't have a happy ending. Incredibly bright guy, remember, a whiz with hardware. But when he got out, his probation officer banned him from using computers.
Wait, what? Seriously, banned him from computers?
Yep, you can imagine what that did to him. His passion, his outlet ripped away. He struggled to cope, battled depression, and tragically turned to drugs. In 2019, he took his own life.
Man, that's just heartbreaking. It really makes you think about the ripple effects, the hidden costs of these actions. And what about Nathan, the youngest one?
Nathan, or Holly, as she later became known.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she came out as transgender while serving her sentence. But the trauma of the experience stayed with her. Just a year after her release, Holly took her own life.
It's just a tragic reminder that the impact of these events, it goes way beyond just serving time. What about Dylan, the ringleader? Always seemed like he was playing a different game, even when things got serious.
But Dylan, he always did like to keep things interesting. Pleaded not guilty, managed to slip out of the country, ended up in the Czech Republic, then resurfaced in the UK.
On the run.
Living life on his own terms. And get this, he started his own cybersecurity firm.
You're kidding me. The hacker turned security consultant. That's almost too perfect.
Right. But here's the catch. His escape, it came at a cost. His mother, she ended up serving time for helping him flee.
Wow. And Dylan?
Vanished in 2020. Company gone. No one knows where he is.
Like a ghost in the machine.
Exactly. And then there's Justin, the wild card. Lived under the radar for a while, pulling smaller scams here and there, but in 2017, the law caught up. Arrested with a brand new BMW and almost $500,000 in cash.
Living the high life. For a minute anyway, what happened?
8 years for fraud, tax evasion, money laundering. Guess you could say the Xbox Underground finally caught up with him.
So, in the end, their story, it's a real roller coaster, isn't it? Ambition, naivety, betrayal, tragedy. It's like a cautionary tale for the digital age.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Where does curiosity end and criminal intent begin? And how do we deal with these young hackers who find themselves in over their heads?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And one that we're still grappling with today. The Xbox Underground, their story might be over, but it's a stark reminder that the world of cybercrime is always evolving and the stakes are higher than ever.
And on that note, we wrap up our deep dive into the world of the Xbox Underground. Remember, folks, in the digital world, every keystroke leaves a footprint. Choose wisely.